Hello there, fellow cultists. This is DM Nell, and I am back with another episode of Sotdl Talk. And this is actually a follow-up to my last one. In my last video, I presented a challenge to the community to help me develop a new villain, an iconic villain, for Shadow the Demon Lord. And I presented you all with the image that comes from the core rulebook, the Shadow the Demon Lord core rulebook, which is a horned ogre confronting a party of adventurers. And the artist, Svetoslav Petrov, is the genius that came up with this image, as I mentioned in the last video. But I challenge you all to help me design this as an iconic villain. Must say, didn't get very many responses. Actually didn't get any responses. So I took it upon myself to develop a iconic creature myself, iconic villain myself, which I was going to do anyway. But I was kind of hoping to get ideas from the community to help me come up with something truly horrible. But just going to have to take a stab at it myself. So here's what I came up with. And I present to you all Gorglut, the Eater of Demons. Now, this is a horned ogre. So I took the template of horned ogre and basically modified it to come up with a more iconic version of the horned ogre to create Gorglut, which I'll get into here in a bit. But first, I wanted to develop a story for Gorglut and what makes him iconic. So this villain basically started off as any other horned ogre. He was shat out by his mother, but the difference is that for whatever reason, his mother was in a void stain at the time that she gave birth to Gorglut. And so Gorglut's first meal was actually a demon that was forming out of the void stain. And this changed Gorglut. This infused the baby ogre with demonic essence, and causing him to mutate and become smarter and more powerful than your average horned ogre. Gorglut grew up in the Fire Peaks, and as he was growing, he attracted an army of ogres, giants, and trolls, and began terrorizing the dwarves of the Fire Peaks as well as other denizens of those mountains. After a time, the dwarves grew tired of Gorglut and his army, so they set a trap for him using dwarven magic and also some forbidden magic. They lured Gorglut into an abandoned dwarven fortress and managed to banish him into the void, along with a few of his generals. So Gorglut landed upon a void island, which had an ancient fortress of unknown origins upon it, which he promptly claimed after eating all the demons out of it. And while he is trapped in the void, Gorglut learns about the Demon Lord and realizes that his people's belief in what they refer to as the Great Eater is actually, in reality, the greatest eater of all, the Demon Lord. So he believes that he's destined to return to Earth and prepare for the Demon Lord's arrival. So Gorglut terrorizes other islands in the void while awaiting the opportunity to return to Earth to do the Demon Lord's work. He has attracted like-minded creatures to his cause, and he's built a new army of void horrors in his little island fortress. So there is a connection to this island. And I haven't named the island yet. I think I'm going to name it something like, I don't know, I keep thinking about the Dresden Files and Harry Dresden's island, which he calls Demon Reach, and I love that name. But I don't want to steal Demon Reach from Harry Dresden, so I'm thinking, something along those lines. But I haven't come up with a good name for the island yet. I might call it Demon Feast because he likes to eat his demons there. But Demon Smorgasbord, I don't know. I'll have to come up with something that sounds cool. But anyway, that's still a to-do on my to-do list before I actually use Gorglut in an adventure. But I did want an adventure hook. So how is Gorglut actually going to interact with the people of Earth to become an icon? Of course, his reign of terror in the Fire Peaks was legendary, and so there was the myth of Gorglut, the demon infused horned ogre, and these rumors have circulated through Rule and have reached the ears of various cults, in particular the Shadowhood or the Brotherhood of Shadows. And they heard legends of this demon-infused ogre army or horned ogre, and they believe that there is a place in the Fire Peaks where they can summon Gorglut to do their bidding. Which, of course, they're kind of stupid and foolish to think that Gorglut's going to do anybody's bidding. But they believe that they can master him, so they're going to send emissaries into the Fire Peaks to find the place where he was banished and try to summon Gorglut into this world. So there's an adventure there, potentially even a campaign. And so in order to use Gorglut, I needed to stat him up. So that's what I did, and here's what I came up with. So Gorglut is a horned ogre starting off, but I did apply I'm trying to find it here in my Hunger in the Void book. I did apply the Demon Spawn template to the horned ogre. So that increased the difficulty by 2 steps. It was already 250, so increasing it by 2 steps would increase it up to 750. Maybe a bit much, but I don't know. So I'll keep it there, and if I need to modify it, I will. But at any rate, I didn't increase his size. He's still a size 3 creature, but the template does call for adding the horrifying trait as well as changing the descriptor to monster, but I did keep the horned ogre in parentheses there. So his perception increases by +2. He already had dark sight, so there was no need to re-add that. His defense increases by +2, and his health increases by a factor of 1.5. So he now has 250 health. His strength increases by +1, so he has a 19th strength, and his agility increased by +1. Now, this is where I varied from the template a bit. It says that his intellect and his will decreases by -3 for each, but I wanted Gorglut to be a smarter than your average bear horned ogre, so I actually increased his intellect to 12, but I did go ahead and decrease his will to 3 to reflect the fact that he's been infused by demons, and so he doesn't quite have a good grip on his will and his ability to control his demonic side. All right, so his speed increases by +2. He already had the gaining insanity immunity, so there was nothing new there. I added the spell defense per the template. But I also added demonic shadow. In fact, what I wanted to do here is to give him an aura. Auras are something that I stole from 4th edition D&D, and it's also utilized in the Oh, let's see, what is it? That's not what I'm looking for. It's also utilized in the monster book that came from the Black Star Studio, or the Black Star Company, Death and Decay, Creature Codex. And they have a list of auras in here. Now, the aura that I use for Gorglut, I just kind of created. But if you're interested in auras, go to the Black Star book. They have a whole list of auras in the first chapter, actually the second chapter of customizing creatures. And or it might be in the first chapter. I'm not really sure, but it's in that section. And the auras are a cool way to make your monsters even more dangerous. But at any rate, that's a separate video. One of these days, I'm going to do a video on the Black Star supplement. I'm just not ready to do that just quite yet. All right, going back to Gorglut's stat block here, I added the Demonic Shadow as a trait. So he has lit areas out to 4 yards become shadows. Any creatures that enter their and this is the part that I added. So I actually call it the Draining Demonic Shadow. And I've added it's kind of a shadow trait from the Monster Shadow. Any creatures that enter or start their turn in the shadowy zone take a -6 penalty to their health until they complete a rest. While it is subject to this penalty, the target makes strength attack rolls and challenge rolls with 1 bane. If this penalty reduces the target's health to 0, the target dies and a shadow wriggles free from the body at the end of typo at the end of the round, next round, entering the nearest open space. So basically, this makes it very dangerous to engage Gorglut within his shadowy zone. Which is exactly what I want. I want it. I want any tanks that think that they can go up against Gorglut to quickly realize that doing so is foolish and potentially lethal. All right. So, what kind of attacks can Gorglut mete out? So he's got his typical horned ogre attacks. He's got a hammer attack and he's got a long blade attack. But I changed his hammer to an oubliette hammer, which actually comes from the Ghastly Gorman's supplement. And it is a sidebar right here, which talks about the variant oubliette hammer that some horned ogres carry. And basically, an oubliette hammer is a hammer that is hollow. The head is hollow, and the ogre can put a size 1 or smaller creature inside the head of the hammer and trap it in there. And then anything that's trapped in there, gets kind of beat, but they get knocked around whenever the hammer is used in combat. So they take 4d6 damage, I think, 4d6 damage if they fail an agility challenge roll while they're being bounced around inside the oubliette. If they succeed, they still take half damage. So that I love that. That's awesome. And I'm actually having him call this oubliette hammer the Tenderizer. So it's going to be enchanted. Not exactly sure what other, if any, other qualities I'll provide it. I think it's kind of cool just as an oubliette hammer in and of itself. But I might make the quality be that if the creature dies while inside the hammer, then it becomes a demon, or it becomes a shadow or something like that. I'm not really sure yet, but this is still a work in progress. So that is the oubliette hammer. Then the long blade is the other standard weapon for a horned ogre. But I also want to create an iconic weapon here. And the iconic weapon I'd like to make this be is a long blade that I call Skin Ripper. And so the quality that I gave it already built in, and that is that if on a roll of 20 plus that exceeds the target's defense by 5 or more, the target takes an additional 3d6 damage. So it already does 3d6 plus 6 damage plus an extra 2d6 damage against a dazed target. And then on a roll of 20 plus, it does an additional 3d6. So it can do, potentially, it could do 3d6 plus 6, so an additional 2d6. So it's 5d6 plus an additional 3d6. That's 8d6 damage plus 6 on top of that. So, so yeah, I'm not really sure what that minus 31 in there is. I'll have to fix that. But anyway, that's Skin Ripper, the long blade. So what else we got for Gorglut here? Let me move my ugly mug so that you can see. Under special actions, it should probably be under special, No, special actions, that's the right place. All right, so demonic vomit is something. Oh, I forgot Devour. All right, so Devour is the same as just your standard horned ogre. Gorglut eats one target defenseless or dead creature that is size 1 or smaller and within its reach. A living creature dies instantly upon being eaten. And then demonic vomit, when Gorglut takes damage, it can use a triggered action to vomit semi-digested food into an 8-yard long cone. That's pretty standard. But what I did add is that the vomit also spawns demons from the vomit as follows. 1d6 tiny demons, 1d3 small demons, and 1 medium demon comes out of the vomit. And then once Gorglut uses vomit, it cannot do so again after it eats. All right, so that is my iconic creature from the core rulebook's cover, Gorglut, the Eater of Demons. So if you can come up with something better, I'd love to see it. But at this point in time, this is what I'm going to run with. Now I just need to create an adventure, or perhaps even a campaign, whereby I can use Gorglut as the main boss villain. So that'll be my next task, or a task at least for a future video. But for now, I'm just going to drop this here and take it for what it is. My attempt at creating an iconic villain for the Shadow of the Demon Lord game. All right, gang, so that is it for my video for this week. Thank you all for watching. Once again, I do encourage you all to leave me comments and give me a like in YouTube. That helps to increase the visibility of my videos. And the whole point of me doing these videos is so that I can show people out there that Shadow of the Demon Lord is an awesome game that they should be playing, and if they're stupid for playing other games. So help me do that by liking my videos, sharing my videos, and subscribing to my channel. All of that helps with the algorithms in YouTube to make these videos more visible, and especially when people do searches for Shadow of the Demon Lord. Or any of the keywords that I stick in my videos. So, help out a brother by fellow cultist by doing me a solid and liking my videos. All right, gang. Thanks all for watching, and once again, hail, and we will catch you next time. All right, how do I turn this damn thing off?